The smell hits me first. Oily incense clotted with ash, burned so many times it has fused with the metal ribs of the ship itself. The air is damp and thin, every breath tasting of iron and ancient prayer dust. Flickering lumen strips sputter along the vaulting ceiling, casting spasms of pallid light across mosaics that once depicted the Emperor triumphant but now gape with cracked eyes and missing halos. My gauntlet fingers trail across a column, the marble warm as if it remembers the touch of countless kneeling pilgrims. It vibrates faintly, a resonance too low for mortal ears, yet my bones shiver with it. I am awake, though I do not recall sleep. I remember the echo of hymns, the disciplined beat of boots on cathedral decks, the thunderous unity of the legions Astartes, our perfect choir. I was proud once, a son among brothers. Yet now a thread of dissonance lingers in my skull, like a hairline fracture. I press my palms to my temples. The armor creaks. My gene-wrought strength feels muted, as though some unseen weight drapes across my shoulders. A voice, my own, but not, whispers from the nave. You still wear the colors of devotion, but your heart hums another key. I whip around, bolter raised, but only the shattered pews stare back. My finger trembles on the trigger. 70% of me is thought, doubt, and remembered oaths. Only 30 remains the soldier scanning for threats. The imbalance frightens me more than any enemy. I stride through the nave, boots crunching over powdered bone and glass. Each step echoes like a muffled drumbeat. Once, these floors were polished by serfs singing psalms of the Emperor's glory. Now they are littered with feathers torn from marble cherubim. My visor picks up faint energy signatures, a lingering warp taint perhaps, but my heart insists they are notes of music, not readings. The contradiction gnaws at me. I pass the altar. Its surface is scarred by blade marks in a pattern I cannot decipher. The scent of sacramental oil has soured into something sweet and rotten. I know this should fill me with righteous fury, but instead I feel a pulse of recognition, like seeing an old companion through warped glass. My mouth is dry. My inner monologue swells. What is devotion if not repetition? What is faith if not resonance? I do not dare speak it aloud, yet the nave seems to hear. Another memory surfaces unbidden. Our training in the choir chambers of Chemos, the Emperor's children practicing their battle chants until the harmony of 300 throats could shake fortress walls. Perfection was our creed. Even in war we sought beauty. We were warned that pride breeds rot, but pride was our marrow. Did he not create us thus? The thought feels dangerous, but it is mine. A figure moves in the periphery. A servitor, perhaps, or some warped echo of one. Its limbs clatter like loose organ pipes, dragging cables that scrape sparks from the floor. Its eyes are milky globes. It does not attack. Instead, it tilts its head, and from its ruined vox grill comes a single tone, pure, crystalline, impossibly sad. My heart stutter. I lower my bolter without meaning to. That tone threads through the cracks of my memory, awakening a longing I had entombed. I whisper, "Who tuned you so?" My voice rasps, barely audible over the ship's groans. The servitor does not answer. Yet inside me, the answer blooms. We did. We all did. I sink to one knee, gauntlet pressed to the deck, feeling the vibrations run up through ceramite and flesh alike. The ship is not dead. It is humming, as if rehearsing for some cosmic performance. My oaths to the Imperium echo in my skull, rigid and cold. But another rhythm beats beneath them, soft, enticing, wrong, and right all at once. I should resist. I must resist. Perfection, I murmur. We sought perfection. The word tastes like ash and honey on my tongue. Around me, the shadows deepen. The lumen strips wink out one by one, like closing eyes. Only the faint phosphorescence of the mosaics remains, painting my armor in fractured gold and violet. I remember the old colors of our legion. I remember pride. I remember shame. The servitor's tone swells into a chord. My breath fogs inside the helmet. Cold sweat slicks my palms. My inner voice screams, "Stop listening." Yet I lean closer, compelled. The chord twists, revealing hidden notes, pain, ecstasy, loss. It is a confession without words. I realize, with a shock that stills both my hearts, that it mirrors the sound I have begun to make in my sleep. I stand abruptly, the bolter heavy in my grasp. I fire once, a thunderous shell that explodes the servitor into a rain of sparks and meat. The cord cuts off. The echo lingers. My ears ring. I tell myself I have destroyed a heresy. Yet my hands shake not from victory, but from bereavement. What is loyalty when it deafens you to truth? The thought will not leave. It slithers through my mind like a dissonant note under a hymn. I begin pacing, armor clanking against the silence. I recite catechisms of the Codex Astartes, but each line splinters halfway, turning into remembered lyrics of forbidden songs we once sang to test the limits of harmony. My mouth moves, but my heart does not follow. At last I reach the ship's choir loft, a balcony overlooking the nave where once hundreds of mortal singers stood to magnify our war chants. Now only shadows hang there like draped funerary cloth. I place my hands on the railing. The metal is warm, almost pulsing. My helm lenses flicker. Through them I glimpse shapes, figures of my brothers as they were before Istvan, before the name Horus became a curse. Their mouths are open in midsong. No sound emerges, but I feel it reverberate through me. A moment of clarity cuts through like a blade. I realize I am not alone in my mind. Something listens. Something waits. Not a demon, at least not yet, but an idea, coiling like a serpent of melody. It waits for me to choose the next note. My loyalty to the Emperor is a fortress, but its stones are vibrating apart. The decision will come. I step back from the railing, breathing hard. The ship groans, a sound almost like a sigh. I must leave this hall. I must find silence. Yet part of me hopes the next corridor carries the same echo. I turn toward the transept, bolters slung, thoughts churning. My boots leave prints in the ash like notes on a staff, a measure written by an unseen composer. Behind me, faint and impossible, the chord resumes. This time I do not cover my ears. I walk toward the sound. The corridor beyond the nave is narrower, the air heavier and wet with condensation. Rust streaks the plasteel walls like dried blood. Every lumen flickers a different rhythm. The ship's heartbeat is uneven here. My boots sink slightly into a film of oil and ash. The smell is acrid, but beneath it a sweeter fragrance coils, half-remembered incense, half something more intimate, like the scent of a memory you have tried to bury. It clings to my tongue. I advance slowly, fingers trailing along the bulkhead. The metal vibrates under my touch, not with engine thrum, but with a susurrus like distant chanting. My inner voice whispers catechisms to drown it out. By the golden throne, I am his blade. By his will, I am deaf to temptation. Yet each line fractures midway, syllables slipping into alien cadences. My lips move, my heart resists. A faint glow ahead. A shrine to the machine god, its cog-toothed sigil scorched but intact. Servo skulls drift like lazy insects, their lenses cracked. They emit bursts of benheric that sound like insect wings brushing glass. I pause before the altar, the copper tang of sacrificial oils sharp in my nostrils. Once we would kneel here before battle, seeking perfection in function as in form. Now I only stand, gauntlets trembling, unable to decide if I should pray or destroy it. The humming grows louder. For a moment, I think it is the ship again. But no, the sound comes from deeper within me, from the chambers of memory. We used to train in perfect formation, our footfalls and heartbeats aligned. I feel that old unity like a phantom limb. My inner monologue spills out, barely audible. Perfection was a prison. Perfection was a hymn with no rest. The words echoed down the corridor. A voice answers. Human, hoarse, but real. You speak as if you regret. I freeze, bolter raised. From the shadows limps a figure in tattered purple, armor once resplendent now flaking. An old battle brother, Ser Chiron, if memory serves. His helm is gone, revealing a face etched with scars like cracked marble. His eyes are sunken yet bright. He carries no weapon openly, but a knife glints at his hip. I regret nothing. I reply, though my tone lacks steel. Chiron tilts his head, listening to something I cannot hear. The ship sings, does it not? He murmurs. Even now you pretend you are deaf. But your steps keep time. He gestures to the floor, and indeed my boot prints form a staggered rhythm on the oil. I feel heat rise under my skin, shame, recognition. I take a step back. Silence yourself. We are sons of the Emperor still. The statement feels like brittle glass between my teeth. He chuckles softly, a sound like cracking bone. Are we? When did you last hear his voice? When did you last feel his gaze upon you? We sang perfection into being, brother, and found only echoes. His words claw at me. My inner voice protests. Faith is endurance. Faith is silence and doubt. Yet another part of me answers him silently. Perhaps we were only ever singing to ourselves. I serve, I insist. I resist. The bolter feels heavier, a relic rather than a weapon. Chiron steps closer, slow, deliberate. Resistance is a note held too long. Eventually it breaks. His hand brushes the wall, drawing a pattern in condensation, a treble clef, or perhaps a sigil. The sight sends a tremor through me. I should kill you, I whisper. Then kill me, he says, I steady. But know the cord will remain in you. We stand locked in silence. Only the ships hum between us. My heart's thud out of rhythm. Sweat beads under my collar. In the pause, I hear whispers, my own voice, Karen's, the ship's, all layered. It is almost beautiful. Almost. I lower the bolter, but do not holster it. Why are you here? To listen, he replies simply. To remember what we were before we chose to forget. The phrase strikes like a blade of ice. Before we chose to forget, did we choose? My memories of Istvan, of betrayal, of the burning of our name, they flicker, disjointed. Were we pushed, or did we step willingly? My internal monologue swirls into a storm. I will find the engine decks, I mutter. There may be survivors. Chiron smiles faintly. There are no survivors. Only echoes. But go if you must. The ship will teach you. He steps back into shadow, vanishing as though swallowed by a curtain of sound. I am left alone with my thoughts. The corridor seems narrower now, closing like a throat. I move on, each step an effort. The hum in the walls syncs with my pulse. I try to recite the litanies of purity, but the words come out fractured, interlaced with half-remembered lyrics from our training chants. I taste blood where I've bitten my tongue. Down a ladder well, deeper into the underdecks. Temperature drops, my breath fogs. Frost rims the bulkheads in delicate patterns resembling musical notation. I run my gauntlet across them, flakes falling like ash. Somewhere below, a machine spirit wails, a long, low tone that vibrates through my chest. I pause on the landing, hands gripping the rail. Emperor, I whisper, anchor me. The plea feels small, like a child's. No answer comes but the echo of my own voice descending into the dark. Another memory intrudes. Our first meeting with the pre-march after rediscovery. His presence like sunlight on steel, his voice a symphony of command and grace. We loved him. We wanted to be like him. We wanted to be more. Pride, always pride. Did we not hear the warning even then? My helm lenses flicker with ghost images, rows of my brothers practicing blade drills to a metronomic chant, their movements as precise as clockwork. The image fades, leaving only rusted pipes and dripping coolant. I shake my head, but the rhythm remains in my bones. At the bottom of the ladder well a hatch stands ajar, its seals scored by claw marks. Beyond lies a chamber lit by a single swaying lumen. The smell is stronger here, metal, sweat, incense, and something like honey. My twin hearts accelerate. I step through. Rows of vox altars line the walls, their speakers cracked but still pulsing with faint static. Each one emits a fragment of sound, some a whisper, some a tone. Together they form an almost melody, broken but insistent. It fills the chamber like mist. I approach the nearest altar. The metal is cold yet thrumming. My fingers hover over the rune plate. Part of me wants to smash them, to silence the noise. Another part wants to tune them, to complete the song. My inner voice argues, splits, overlaps. Silence is purity. Completion is perfection. Silence is cowardice. Completion is damnation. I clutch my head, armor joints creaking. Stop, I hiss. But the altars answer with a swell of sound, as if amused. My vision blurs. For a heartbeat, I see not altars but throats, hundreds of them, singing without bodies. The sight vanishes, leaving static. I stumble back, breathing hard. The deck beneath me vibrates. I sense the ship is not merely haunted. It is rehearsing, preparing. For what? I cannot yet know. Above, somewhere distant, a single bolter shot echoes, perhaps Chiron, perhaps a ghost. The sound is a counterpoint to the humming. I grip my weapon tighter. I will not join your choir. I whisper to the ship, to myself. But even as I say it, my tone matches the hum. I turn toward the next passageway, deeper into the underdecks. The lumen swings, casting my shadow long and thin like a conductor's baton. The altars fall silent behind me, as if holding their breath. I walk on, uncertain whether I am escaping or descending further into the song. Heat rolls up the ladder well like the breath of some slumbering beast. Each rung is slick with condensation, yet warm as skin. My gauntlets leave prints that steam briefly before fading. The deeper I descend, the more the light dims until only a bruised red glow seeps upward from below, pulsing with the slow regularity of a dying heart. It smells of scorched copper and spilt incense, a mixture both sacred and profane. The sound here is heavier than silence, a low, endless drone that vibrates through my teeth and into the marrow of my bones. I remember these decks when they were alive with maintenance crews, tech priests murmuring in Benheric as they caressed the plasma conduits with electrographs. We moved among them like angels, our armor gleaming. Now the conduits are split and patched with chains, the sigils of the Omnicia smeared with something darker. The heat presses against me, sweat beads under my collar, trickling down to sting old scars. I imagine the ship's heart beneath me, beating not with plasma, but with song. I keep moving, trying to steady my breathing. Inside my head, two voices wrestle. The catechisms drilled into me since chemos and a newer murmur rising with each step. Silence is strength, but listen, it answers. Listen and understand. My hands tremble. I clench them until the servos whine. At the bottom, a massive archway opens into the engine hall. It is cathedral vast, columns of cables rising like organ pipes into darkness. Rivers of coolant run in open channels, glowing faintly blue. The air tastes metallic, almost sweet. On the far wall, an enormous cogskull sigil has been overpainted with a curling mark I do not recognize, something like a treble clef carved by a predator's claw. The sight makes my heart's hammer. I step inside. The deck plates vibrate under my boots, a rhythm irregular yet deliberate. My visor display glitches, flickering between temperature readouts and fragments of text. Cantus, Harmonia, Demon. I blink, and they vanish. The noise here is immense, but not random. It swells and dips like breath. For a moment, I think I can make out words hidden in the harmonics. I force myself to recite the litany of maintenance as if it were a ward. Blessed be the plasma, caged in holy steel. But my tongue falters. The litany's cadence shifts, becomes a melody. I bite my lip until blood fills my mouth, metallic as the air. A shape moves among the conduits, small compared to me, robed, its limbs a tangle of mechadendrites. A techadept perhaps, long-stranded. It glides rather than walks, chanting in Benheric so distorted it sounds like weeping. I approach cautiously, bolter raised. Identify yourself. I command, but my voice is swallowed by the engine's drone. The adept halts, lifts its hooded head. Its face is a lattice of bronze and flesh, vox grill hissing static. Then it speaks, a single note, high and piercing, that cuts through the noise like a blade through cloth. My helm filters overload. I stagger. That note is the same one I heard in the nave, from the servitor. Recognition chills me even in this heat. My finger tightens on the trigger, yet I hesitate. The adept's note bends, becomes 2, then 3, an arpeggio of sorrow. I feel my memories unravel. Drill squares on chemos, the perfect synchrony of bolter fire and chant, the moment we first heard our pre-march speak of beauty beyond duty. My heart's ache. Stop, I manage. You don't know what you're invoking. But the adept only continues, mechadendrites twitching like insect antennae in time to an unheard conductor. Around us the conduits glow brighter, pulses of light traveling like currents of blood. The deck shakes. I lunge forward, seizing the adept by its shoulders. Its body is hot, vibrating. Enough, I war. But as I shake it, its hood falls back and I see not a face but a speaker array fused to a human skull. The sounds issuing from it are not chants but recordings, endlessly looping, warped by time. The realization is worse than if it were alive. I release it. It collapses, still singing. I back away, heart pounding. My inner monologue hammers. This is corruption. This is heresy. Purge it. Yet another voice whispers, It is remembrance. It is the song you buried. My hands shake so violently the bolter rattles. A memory surfaces, unbidden but clear. We stood in a darkened hall, our pre-march before us, telling us that to serve the Emperor was to aspire beyond mediocrity, to make war an art. We believed him. We sang even as we killed. We sought perfection. The memory twists. His voice becomes the drone of the engine. My vision blurs. I retreat to the edge of the coolant channel, staring at my reflection in the blue glow. The lenses of my helm flare red like twin coals. Beneath the armor, I feel smaller, almost human. I am loyal, I whisper. The engine answers with a low chord that vibrates through the plates and into my knees. Then, a turning point. Among the conduits, a pattern of lights flickers. 3 pulses, pause. 2 pulses, pause, repeating. It aligns with my heart's, with the rhythm in my skull. I realize the noise is not random, but a score, a composition written in plasma and steel. And I am standing at its center like an unwitting soloist. The thought is intoxicating and terrifying. Part of me wants to follow the pattern, to see where it leads. Another part clings to the Emperor's silence like a drowning man to a stone. My breathing quickens. Sweat drips into my eyes. I grip the bolter until the casing creaks. I will not be your instrument, I hiss, though I am unsure whether I speak to the ship, to the adept, or to the memory of my pre-march. My voice shakes. The engine's chord rises, almost triumphant. For an instant I feel weightless, as if my armor has fallen away and I am only a throat, open, ready to sing. I slam my fists against the railing. Pain snaps me back. The chord falters. The heat returns, oppressive. I turn and run, boots clanging on the deck, the drone chasing me like an echo. Behind me, the adept's recordings warp into a scream, then silence. I ascend a smaller ladder toward the upper maintenance passages. The air cools slightly, but carries a new smell, ozone and something sweet, like burnt honey. My hearts still hammer the engine's rhythm. I try to recite the Catechism of Severance, but halfway through the words morph into a melody I do not recognize. I stop speaking, afraid of what might answer. At the top of the ladder, a narrow corridor stretches into darkness, lined with cables like veins. Faintly, I hear a human voice singing. No machine now, but a man's voice, rich and low. It echoes down the corridor, pulling at me. My pulse leaps. I stand at the threshold, bolter trembling. Who's there? I call, but the song only continues, unhurried, full of mournful grandeur. It sounds like a requiem for something not yet dead. My throat aches with the urge to join. I take one step forward, then another. The cables brush my pauldrons like the fingers of a congregation. The song grows clearer, wrapping around me like warm water. For a moment, I forget the Emperor, forget Chemos, forget my name. Only the music exists. I stop, shaking. No. I whisper, though it comes out almost as a note. My voice blends with the song for an instant before breaking. The corridor ahead glows faintly, inviting. My armor feels too heavy, my mind too light. I know I should turn back, but my feet move of their own accord, carrying me deeper into the sound. The corridor narrows until it is less a passageway than a throat, lined with sweating steel. Cables sag from the ceiling in black loops, brushing my pauldrons like leeches. The air is hotter here, wet and metallic, yet each inhalation tastes faintly sweet, like honey dissolved in blood. My breath fogs in the dim red light and hangs there, reluctant to disperse. Somewhere deeper the voice continues to sing, no longer distant, but threading through the metal itself, as though the ship's bones are resonating with it. I force myself forward, bolter low, every step measured. The deck plates are slick, vibrating underfoot. My inner monologue has split into two, one part chanting the catechisms of purity, the other murmuring a counterpoint, low and insistent. They overlap until I can no longer tell which is mine. Silence is strength. No, listen. Silence is cowardice. No, resist. The words blur into hums. My gauntlet trembles as I reach out to steady myself against the bulkhead. The steel is warm, alive warm, and pulses faintly under my palm. A sudden jolt of static in my helm. My visor flares with ghost images of chem lines and musical notations. I blink hard. They vanish, leaving only the sweating metal. The voice ahead dips into a minor key, a mournful descent that makes my heart's twist. It sounds like the old training hymns, slowed and inverted, as if a mirror of memory. My throat aches to echo it. I bite down on the urge. The passage opens into a low chamber where coolant drips in steady rhythm from a fractured pipe, each drop striking a puddle with a hollow note. The smell is stronger here. Ozone, copper, incense long rotted. The light is the color of bruised fruit. In the corner slumps a figure in purple armor, chest plate cracked, helm gone. His skin is gray, eyes clouded, but his lips still move, shaping soundless words. A battle brother, or what remains of one. I kneel beside him, servos whining. Brother, I say, my voice rasping. Name yourself. His eyes flicker to mine, focus wavering. Name was song, he murmurs. His voice is a rasp, but carries the same melody that haunts the corridor. Name forgotten. Listen, his hand twitches toward me. Fingers brush my gauntlet. Even that weak touch carries a vibration, as though something beneath his skin hums. I swallow hard. You are ill. The ship is corrupt. Weakened still, he coughs, a sound like a cracked bell. We are the ship, he whispers. It learned from us. Blood seeps from his mouth, black and viscous. Yet his eyes shine with something like joy. Sing, brother. It hurts less if you sing. I recoil slightly, the bolter heavy at my side. Inside my helm my thoughts snarl. Mercy is a bullet. Purity is a purge. Yet another whisper curls through me. Mercy is listening. Purity is truth. My fingers hover over the trigger, but I cannot bring myself to fire. The brother's trembling intensifies. His chest plate vibrates audibly now, emitting a low note that harmonizes with the dripping coolant. His pupils dilate, then shatter into black. Hear it, he breathes. Hear what we were meant to be. His back arches. For an instant I see not a man, but a hollow instrument, ribs like harp strings, organs glowing faintly. The vision vanishes, leaving only a dying Astartes in cracked armor. I press a hand to his brow. The skin is fever-hot, vibrating. Emperor, forgive us, I murmur. I want to promise him redemption, but the words feel false. Instead I simply say, rest. His lips shape one final note, a high keening tone that threads through my bones, and then he goes still. The vibration fades. The chamber is silent except for the dripping coolant and the drone of the engines above. I rise slowly, hands shaking. My inner voice tries to recite the litanies of release, but the lines will not come. In their place is the memory of our old choruses, of how even death was meant to be a perfect cadence. My hearts ache with a strange grief, heavier than rage. I have not sung in centuries, but my throat burns as if I have. The corridor beyond slopes downward. The singing voice returns, clearer now, as if aware of me. It no longer sounds mournful but welcoming, each note falling exactly where my steps land. My pulse begins to match it without conscious effort. The ship feels closer around me, like a lung drawing me deeper with each breath. I tell myself this is a test. Resist and be strong. But another thought arises unbidden. Perhaps strength is hearing what others will not. I clench my fists. The servos whine like a distant choir. Halfway down the passage the walls change, cables merging into fibrous growths that look disturbingly organic, slick and pulsating. They exude a faint heat. When I brush one accidentally, it shudders like muscle under touch. The smell of honey intensifies. My visor fogs from within, sweat stings my eyes. The voice ahead rises to a soft crescendo, a promise just out of reach. I halt, pressing my back to the wall. I am his. I whisper to steady myself. I am his. But the wall hums under me, echoing the words in a different key, making them sound like a question. Images flash in my mind. The Primarch's face, perfect and terrible. The Emperor's golden light. My own reflection fracturing like a mirror under sound. The ship's hum fills the spaces between memories, rewriting them as music. I squeeze my eyes shut, but the visions play on. Then, a revelation as sharp as a blade. The song is not outside me. It is within, coiled like a seed. The servitor's tone, the adept's arpeggio, the brother's dying note. They were not teaching the ship. The ship is reflecting us. I am not hearing something alien. I am hearing my own legion, my own soul, amplified. I stagger forward, breath ragged. The passage ends in a bulkhead etched with both the cogskull of the Omniscia and the curling treble mark I saw in the engine hall. Between them a seam glows faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. The voice comes from beyond, deeper and richer than before, as if a choir waits behind the door. My hands hover over the runes. Inside my helm my thoughts whirl. Open it and know. Leave and forget. Resist. Accept. The dualities collapse into a single sustained note. My heart's pound. I reach for the rune plate. My gauntlet trembles. The metal is warm, soft almost, yielding like flesh. The seam widens slightly at my touch. A breath of hot air escapes, smelling of incense and copper and something sweet enough to hurt. I pull back, dizzy. The song pauses, expectant. My throat aches as if I am about to sing. I realize I am no longer sure which side of the door I stand on, the outside or already within. I step back into the corridor, trying to calm my breathing. The cables sway slightly, as if disappointed. The ship resumes its low drone, softer now, like a whisper after a scream. I do not open the door. Not yet. But my palms still tingle where they touch the rune plate. The note of expectation lingers in my skull. I turn away, boots heavy, and start walking back toward the ladder well. Each step leaves a faint vibration in the deck, like a hidden pulse. The song behind the door does not fade. It follows me like an echo beneath the skin. The mid-decks are a labyrinth of catwalks suspended over darkness. Each step on the grated floor sends a metallic note downward, swallowed by a void of machinery and forgotten shrines. The air here is cooler but rank with rust, dried oil, and the faint sourness of old incense. The light is dim green, cast from flickering control panels whose runes sputter like dying candles. My boots leave scuffs of ash along the walkway, each print a silent admission of trespass. I pause at an intersection where 3 catwalks meet like a trident. The sound here is different, no longer a single drone but a broken chord, fragments of voices spilling from ancient Vox units bolted to the walls. Some crackle static, some emit low hums, others whisper in tongues I almost understand. Together they form a tapestry of noise like a congregation mumbling prayers out of time. It raises the hairs along my neck. I edge closer to one of the units. Its grille is dented, wires spilling like veins. A faint voice leaks through, distorted but unmistakable, my own, reciting a line from the Catechism of Purity. I jerk back, heartbeat skipping. The next unit takes up the phrase but twists the ending into a note of lament. The third answers with a laugh, my laugh, low and hollow. The corridor fills with a chorus of me. I grip the railing hard, servos whining. This is a trick, I hiss. Warp echo. Yet even as I say it, the chorus shifts into a melody I know, the training hymn we sang on chemos before dawn drills, our voices braided like steel cables. Hearing it here, in my own timbre, makes my knees weaken. I try to drown it with my own voice. By his will I am his blade. I recite, loud enough to echo. But the Vox units mimic me in real time, layering my words into harmonies, adding notes I did not speak. It is like singing into a canyon that sings back in a better key. The effect is nauseating and seductive. I advance along the catwalk, bolter raised though there is nothing to shoot. The Vox chorus follows, units activating ahead of me and shutting down behind, shepherding me forward like an invisible audience. The green light flickers to a pulse that matches my heart's. My breathing deepens unconsciously into a rhythm that fits the sound. My armor feels lighter, as if the song is carrying me. At a junction, I find an old control station shaped like a pulpit. Its panels are etched with prayers to the machine god, but defaced by curling scratches. Again that treble claw mark. A single throne chair sits before the controls, its padding split, its surface dark with dried fluids. I approach and see faint handprints on the armrests, too large for a mortal crewman. One of ours sat here once. I lower myself onto the edge of the chair. The metal is cold but vibrates faintly, as though expecting me. My visor flickers with ghost runes. Cantor, director, instrument. My inner monologue tries to form a prayer, but only produces questions. When did we become this? When did the ritual become the song? The chair's speakers hiss and then emit a whisper close to my ear. You were always the song. I leap up, bolter snapping to ready. The whisper ceases. Only the chorus remains, softer now, coaxing. My heart's pound. Sweat beads on my forehead, stinging my eyes. I am aware of every seam in my armor, every scar under the skin. It feels as though the ship is mapping me note by note. I retreat from the pulpit, boots clanging on the catwalk. The chorus rises in pitch, filling the space above the void. In the flickering green, the first glimpse movement below, shapes like figures made of shadow and rust, standing in ranks, heads tilted back as if singing silently. I blink and they are gone, leaving only the echo of my own breath. I press my palms to the sides of my helm. Stop, I whisper. Stop. But my whisper becomes a note that threads seamlessly into the chorus. For an instant it feels like breathing after suffocation. Pure, easy, right? Then horror crashes in. The ship is not imitating me. I am imitating it. I stagger to the railing, looking down into the darkness. Images flash. Our legion on parade. The perfect alignment of ceramite and voice, the pride that lit our eyes. All of it now reflected in a machine's corrupted him. I realize with a cold clarity that the Emperor's silence may be less an absence than a refusal to hear what we have become. I slam the bolter stock against the nearest Vox unit. Sparks fly, the grill shatters, and my own voice cuts off mid-word. The rest of the chorus falters, momentarily discordant. The relief is brief. One by one the other units resume, picking up the melody where it left off, as if nothing happened. My destruction means nothing to the song. I back away, breathing hard. I am not your instrument, I say aloud, but the chorus only repeats it back in layered harmony, turning my defiance into liturgy. The sound vibrates through the catwalk into my bones. My fingers twitch as though plucking strings. At the far end of the walkway a hatch glows faintly, the same treble claw sigil etched into its surface. Beyond it the chorus is stronger, clearer, like a vast hall of unseen singers. My throat aches again. The urge to open the hatch is a physical pull, as though a hook lodged beneath my sternum. I force myself to kneel, gauntlets clenched. Emperor, anchor me. I breathe. For a heartbeat the chorus subsides, replaced by the ship's old drone. The green light steadies. My heart slow. I cling to the silence like a ledge. Then a single note rises from below, higher than before, pure and tremulous, like a child's voice. It threads through my prayer, unraveling it. I feel tears on my cheeks though my eyes are dry. The note holds, waits. My own breath matches it without my consent. I stand, trembling. The hatch glows brighter. The chorus swells softly, as if encouraging. I know if I open it, something will change irrevocably. Yet the thought of turning back fills me with an emptiness more frightening than the unknown beyond. I take one slow step toward the hatch, bolter hanging at my side. Another step. The catwalk vibrates like a plucked string. The chorus hushes to a low hum, expectant. I stop just short of the door, hand hovering over the rune plate. My armor feels both heavy and insubstantial, my body a hollow instrument, full of someone else's breath. Not yet, I whisper. My whisper does not echo this time. It vanishes into the dark like a stone into deep water. I turn away from the hatch and begin walking back along the catwalk, every step an act of will. The chorus does not follow but hums behind me, patient, like a congregation awaiting its cantor. I do not know how long I can resist, only that I am still resisting, for now. The maintenance arteries are narrow and hot, a maze of pipes and conduits slick with condensation. Each breath tastes of metal and old ozone, thick enough to coat my tongue. The walls vibrate faintly under my gauntlets, the ship's pulse transmitted through rusted ribs. Red lumen strips flicker overhead, casting everything in a dim glow like cooling embers. My armor scrapes against bulkheads with every movement. The echo of the choir has faded, but its rhythm lingers under my skin like a phantom itch. I move on hands and knees through a section too low to stand. The heat rises as I crawl, sweat trickling down my spine beneath the ceramite. The smell here is acrid, burned incense mixed with lubricants and the sourness of recycled air. My hearts drum faster. I imagine the ship's arteries closing behind me like muscle. For a moment I forget the Emperor, the rituals, even my own name. There is only the crawl and the pulse. Ahead a faint blue glow filters through a grill. I force it open and slide into a larger chamber. The ceiling arches like a cathedral nave, pipes running along it in neat bundles, dripping condensation like holy water. In the center stands a cylindrical reactor shrouded in scaffolding and prayer strips, their edges burned black. Servo skulls drift slowly around it, their optical lenses glowing like votive candles. The reactor hums in a low note, deep and resonant, felt more in the bones than heard. At the base of the reactor, rows of kneeling servitors maintain silent vigil. Their flesh is pale and slick with sweat, their spines threaded with cables. Each holds a rusted censer that swings gently in time with the reactor's pulse, releasing bitter incense into the hot air. None look up as I approach. Their heads remain bowed, lips moving in subvocal chants I cannot quite decipher. It feels like intruding on a mass held for no human audience. I descend the graded stairs to the reactor floor. The heat is intense, beads of moisture running down my visor. My palms brush the railings, slick and warm as living skin. I pause at the last step. The hum of the reactor swells, merging with the memory of the choir. My heart's slow until they match the beat of the machine. The synchronization is so complete it feels as though the reactor is breathing through me. I whisper a line from the litanies of endurance, the words catching in my throat. The sound echoes off the chamber walls and returns altered, elongated, as if the ship itself is answering. I close my eyes and hear not words but a pulse. Thrum, thrum, thrum. It is both heartbeat and drumbeat, summoning and sustenance. My knees bend involuntarily, a motion halfway to kneeling. I force myself upright. I serve the Emperor, I murmur. Not the ship. My voice sounds small in the cavernous chamber. A servo skull drifts closer, its lens focusing on me. Its jaw clicks open and shut, but emits no sound. For an instant I think it will attack, but instead it tilts as though in curiosity, then floats away. My breath shudders out, part relief, part disappointment. I circle the reactor, eyes scanning the prayer strips. Many bear the sigil of our legion before the heresy, immaculate once, but now curling at the edges. Others are newer, written in a script I don't recognize, tight coils of ink like veins. I run a gloved finger over one. It's warm to the touch, as if freshly inscribed. A shiver runs up my arm. The words seem to hum under my skin. A memory stirs. Chemos at dusk, the training grounds empty after drills, my brothers and I listening to the distant thunder of Manufactoria. We had dreamed of perfection then, voices in unison, blades in harmony. Standing before the reactor now, I realize that ideal has not died. It has only changed its master. The pulse is perfection without mercy, unity without self. I catch my reflection in a polished conduit. Helm off, face pale and drawn, eyes bright with fever. Sweat streaks my cheeks like tears. My lips are moving though I do not remember speaking. The servitor's chants have become my own. The sound is low and soothing, like a lullaby. It frightens me how natural it feels. I step closer to the reactor until the heat scorches my skin even through the armor seals. My hand rises, trembling, to touch the surface. The metal is warm, almost soft. For a heartbeat, I feel it beating with my own hearts, a single organism. In that instant there is no war, no emperor, no guilt, only belonging. The relief is so profound it is almost pain. Then a memory cuts through. The emperor's gaze during the triumph at Ullanor, distant and unknowable, but still our lodestar. I see the glint of his armor, the sun behind him. The pulse falters inside me. My hand recoils as if burned. The hum of the reactor shifts to a lower note, almost a growl. The servo skulls scatter like startled birds. I stagger back, panting. No. I whisper, but the word is lost in the heat. My knees threaten to buckle. The servitors keep chanting, unperturbed, as if my struggle is irrelevant. The pulse resumes, steady and patient. I sense it waiting for me to surrender again, as one waits for a breath after a pause. I retreat to the edge of the chamber, leaning against a support pillar. My armor is heavy, my throat raw. Yet beneath the exhaustion a strange exhilaration burns. I have felt the pulse. I know what it offers. And I know now that resistance is no longer a clean line, but a frayed thread. The lumen strips overhead flicker once, twice, then steady into a dim blue. Somewhere beyond this chamber, deeper in the ship, the chorus rises again, faint but unmistakable, like a tide returning. The pulse under my feet answers it, a counterpoint of heartbeats. My own breathing sinks to it before I can stop myself. I push off from the pillar and force my legs to move. Each step is an effort, like walking against water. The corridor beyond the reactor shrine beckons, lined with conduits glowing faintly. I do not know what lies there, only that the ship is drawing me inward, note by note, pulse by pulse. I glance back once. The reactor looms like an altar, servitors kneeling in eternal devotion. For a heartbeat, I envy them. Then I turn away, tightening my grip on the bolter. The corridor swallows me in its heat and hum, leading me deeper into the ship's hidden heart. The corridor tightens again, shedding the glow of the reactor for a dim, amber gloom. The air grows cooler, but tastes of old antiseptic and blood turn to iron flakes. My boots click on smooth metal now instead of grated catwalks. Pipes line the ceiling like veins stripped bare. Each step sends a soft echo down the passage, answered by the ship's patient thrum. My heart still beat to its rhythm despite my effort to break free. A cracked signplate marks the next chamber, Medicae Deck 3 Alpha. The letters are etched in high Gothic, beneath them the old winged serpent of the apothecarian. My gauntlet brushes the plate. It's warm, pulsing faintly. I push through the double doors. They hiss open with a breath of cold air that smells of alcohol, dried oils, and something sweeter, like the incense once burned during Legion surgeries to mask the pain. The Medicae deck is vast and low, lined with rows of surgical cradles. Each cradle is a steel shell with armatures folded like insect limbs, their tips capped with saws, injectors, and data probes. Dust lies thick across the floor, yet the cradles hum faintly, asleep but not dead. Lumen globes hang from chains overhead, casting dim pools of light that sway gently. Shadows crawl like black water between them. It feels like stepping into a morgue where the corpses still dream. I walk between the cradles, fingers grazing their edges. My armor records faint electrical fields. The machines recognize a patient. Somewhere hidden servitors scuttle, their movements soft as whispers. A few of the cradles still cradle shapes, mummified husks of aspirants or legionaries long dead, their faces sealed in bronze masks. Thin tubes run from their mouths into the deck plates, as if the ship is still feeding on them. One cradle opens with a hiss as I pass, its armatures unfolding like a prayer gesture. Lights flicker along its edges, beckoning. I freeze. My throat tightens at the sight of the padded surface, the straps dark with old sanctifying oils. Memory overlays the present. Chemos again, the apothecarian's cold light, the smell of burned incense as the gene seed was installed. The pain like a star collapsing inward. The voice of the apothecary murmuring prayers of perfection. I had thought of it as transcendence. Now it feels like the first incision of the ship itself. The cradle's speakers crackle. A voice seeps out, flat and metallic, but unmistakably mine. Lie down, brother. We will make you whole. I step back, bolter rising. The voice continues, weaving words from my own memories, fragments of vows, whispered fears from initiation nights. The tone is gentle, coaxing, like a parent to a child. My finger tightens on the trigger, but no shot comes. The sound pins me like a scalpel. I hear movement at the edge of the deck. An autochirurgeon emerges from the shadows, an insectal frame of polished steel, its limbs tipped with surgical tools that glint in the low light. It glides on silent treads toward me. Its head is a cluster of lenses and vox grills. From it issues a lohim in Benheric, rising and falling like a heart monitor. The sound is oddly comforting. I lower the bolter a fraction without meaning to. It stops a few meters away, extending one limb tipped with a needle glistening with clear fluid. Another limb gestures to the open cradle. The hymn shifts to a deeper register. My armor's auspex reads the fluid as simple saline, but the smell drifting from it is unmistakable, the same bittersweet incense from our Legion's ritual surgeries. My knees feel weak. I imagine lying down, straps closing, the hum of the ship merging with my pulse until no boundary remains. I take a step back. No, I whisper. The autochirurgeon tilts its head cluster. The hymn becomes a question. Another cradle opens nearby with a sigh, armatures unfolding. The deck fills with a chorus of metallic murmurs, like prayers for a mass whose God has not yet arrived. I feel the craving rise in me, a yearning not for pain but for surrender, for the relief of being acted upon rather than acting. I close my eyes, forcing breath in and out. I am still me. I am still his. The Emperor's visage flares in memory, distant, blinding. But the image flickers, overlaid by the reactor's blue glow, by the choir's patient harmony. What is me, when every gene, every vow, every scar belongs to another? Perhaps resistance is only vanity at the edge of inevitability. The autochirurgeon glides closer, needle lowering. My heart's pound in counter rhythm to the ship. I snap my eyes open. The machine pauses, sensing the shift. I raise the bolter and fire. The shot roars through the Medicae deck, deafening in the enclosed space. The autochirurgeon explodes into fragments of steel and glass, spraying sparks. Its hymn cuts off mid-note. The other cradles snap, shut like startled mouths. Silence crashes down. Smoke drifts between the cradles. My hands shake. The craving recedes, but leaves an ache like hunger. I back away from the wreckage, boots crunching on shards. The deck's lumen globes flicker erratically, casting long shadows of my own form across the walls. For an instant, I see not a warrior, but a hollow outline filled with the ship's pulse. I retreat to the far doors, not trusting myself to stay. As I reach them, a soft sound rises behind me. A new hymn, faint but unmistakable, woven from my own shot's echo. The cradles are singing. The ship has learned my defiance and turned it into music. The realization chills me more than the air. The doors hiss open. Beyond them, another corridor descends, lined with black cables that throb like arteries. A faint blue glow beckons from its depths. The hymn follows me, soft and patient. I tighten my grip on the bolter, whispering the catechism of purity under my breath. The words taste thin and brittle, but still mine. I step into the corridor. The door closes behind me with a sigh, cutting off the Medicae deck. Ahead, the glow brightens, pulsing in time with my heart's. The ship's voice is no longer just sound. It is pressure in the blood, weight behind the eyes. Each step I take feels both chosen and guided. Somewhere beyond this passage waits the next threshold. Whether it leads to salvation or dissolution, I cannot yet tell. The descent feels endless, each landing narrower than the last. The black cables along the walls throb with a faint reddish light now, as if blood had begun to pulse through them. The smell thickens to copper and incense, clinging to the back of my throat. My boot steps echo like a ritual drumbeat. My own heartbeat synchronizes despite my whispered litanies. The bolter weighs like a relic rather than a weapon, an anchor of old oaths in a sea of murmurs. At the bottom, the passage opens suddenly into a cavernous chamber. Warm air flows up, humid and metallic. A haze of red mist hangs above the floor, lit from beneath by the glow of machinery. The ceiling is lost in darkness, only the glint of chains and pulleys hinting at its height. This is not a deck, but an organ, vast and hidden, pumping its own life through the ship. Before me rises the veiled engine. It is not a reactor like the shrine above, but a mass of intertwined turbines and veined conduits, sheathed in layers of tattered cloth covered with sigils. The cloths ripple as though breathing. Where they part, glimpses of something else shine through, wet metal, glistening flesh, light like captured starlight. The engine hums a low note that vibrates my teeth, a sound at once mechanical and vocal, like a choir holding a single, infinite tone. I approach the edge of the grated platform, knuckles white on the railing. Heat rises from below in waves. The mist tastes faintly sweet, numbing the tongue. Servo skulls circle above the engine, their cables trailing like streamers, their lenses fixed downward in devotion. They chant no words, yet their whirring forms a rhythm around the engine's tone. It feels less like entering a machine space than a cloister where something holy or profane waits. The first touch comes as a pulse behind my eyes. Not sound, not thought, but pressure. Images flicker across my inner vision. My brothers in perfect formation, the Emperor's children at their zenith, gold and purple under a triumphant sun. Then the images rot, armor splitting, mouths open in silent song, bodies merging with brass and string. I stagger, gripping the railing harder. The pressure softens, becomes invitation. The veiled engine wants me to see. I whisper the catechism of detachment, voice trembling. I am not instrument, but blade. The hum beneath my feet rises, harmonizing with my words until I can no longer tell which is echo. My breath slows to match it. For a heartbeat, the catechism feels like a verse within the engine's hymn, not a shield against it. I realize with cold clarity that this is how devotion shifts, not by force, but by inclusion. Below, the veiled cloths lift slightly as though stirred by a hidden wind. A shape pulses there, enormous, neither fully machine nor flesh. I glimpse rib-like struts, a beating core of molten light, and veins of black cable carrying fluid into the surrounding ship. The sight both horrifies and calms. It is perfection without face, a heart without a self. My own heart's answer with a double thrum of longing. A walkway extends from my platform toward the engine, narrow and unlit. Its surface is slick with condensation. At its end waits a small dais carved from the ship's own plating, a lectern of brass studded with runes. The walkway trembles softly under the pulse. I know instinctively that crossing it will be a choice. Either step forward and accept what waits, or turn back and remain hollow. I take one step. The hum grows warmer, a note of welcome. Another step. The mist thickens, caressing my armor like invisible fingers. My visor fogs. I lift it to clear my sight, and the air burns my lungs with sweetness. I cough, but even the cough sounds like part of the rhythm. The dais draws nearer. My bolter feels absurd in my hands, a blunt object in a cathedral of resonance. Halfway across I stop. Memory strikes like a blade. The Emperor on Ullanor, his gaze distant yet absolute, and my own voice vowing eternal service. That vow lives still, brittle but unbroken. I drop to one knee on the walkway, gauntlets pressed to the slick metal. Anchor me. I whisper, though the word feels foreign. The hum dips to a lower tone, a rumble of amusement or irritation. The mist cools slightly around me. I realize then that the veiled engine is not simply corrupt, it is patient. It will not seize me. It will let me kneel, pray, struggle, and wait for the moment when my own desire completes the ritual. It has learned my rhythm, just as the Medicae deck learned my defiance. This is not seduction, but absorption. I rise slowly. The dais glows faintly now, runes pulsing with my heartbeat. A voice, or the echo of my own thoughts, murmurs, "Come closer. Leave the blade. Be the note." For an instant I want nothing more than to obey, to dissolve into sound, to stop being a fragment. I feel my fingers loosening on the bolter. With a snarl I tighten my grip and slam the weapon butt against the walkway. The clang rings out, discordant. The hum wavers. A ripple passes through the mist like a shudder. The runes dim. My heart's race-off beat again. Pain spears behind my eyes, but also relief. A ragged, human rhythm against the machine's perfect tone. I back away one step, then another, retreating toward the platform. The veiled engine does not lash out. Its hum steadies back into the infinite note, unchanged, as if my defiance were merely another variation in its hymn. But I feel its attention still, patient as gravity. At the platform edge, I turn once more to look. The engine looms veiled and immense, its cloths rippling gently. The servo skulls resume their orbits, their whirring a lullaby. The mist parts slightly, revealing a corridor beyond the chamber, narrow, dark, descending further into the ship's unseen heart. The pulse of it calls to me like a distant drum. I replace my visor, sealing the sweetness away. My breath tastes of iron again. My hands shake, but still hold the bolter. I whisper the Emperor's name, not as litany, but as memory, a fragile thread of self. Then I step off the platform and into the corridor, leaving the veiled engine behind, but carrying its rhythm inside me. The darkness ahead swallows the last red light. My footsteps echo alone now, uneven, each one a question. Yet under the unevenness the hum persists, softer but still present, as if the ship has moved one step closer to making me its own. The corridor narrows until I have to hunch, the ceiling low and slick with condensation. The red glow has faded to a deep violet, pulsing faintly like veins beneath bruised skin. My gauntlets scrape the walls as I move, leaving streaks in a film of oily moisture. Each step squelches slightly, as though the deck plates have softened. The smell here is stronger, copper and incense still, but now undercut with a rank, animal musk. The air is heavy, warm, alive. I emerge into a space that should not exist inside a warship, a vaulted hall of flesh and metal interlaced. The ribs of the hull curve upward, wrapped in pulsing tissue shot through with copper conduits. Lumen strips have been embedded in the walls like surgical staples, casting a dim lilac glow. The deck beneath my boots is soft enough to yield slightly, exhaling heat through hidden pores. My armor's sensors stutter between organic and mechanical readings, as though unable to decide. Shapes bulge from the walls like sculptures half forgotten. At first I take them for grotesques, ornamental masks carved into the tissue, but then a face turns slightly toward me, lips moving. Another opens its eyes, cloudy and unfocused, whispering something inaudible. There are dozens, no, hundreds, of them, melded into the ship, torsos fused with cables, limbs stretched into struts. The flickering lumen light glints off ceramite fragments still clinging to some of them, purple and gold dulled by corrosion. My brothers. I stumble forward, hand outstretched. The nearest face is pale, cheek pressed to the tissue like a child against a mother. Its mouth moves, producing a faint hiss. I lower my ear to it through my helm. A word emerges, slurred but recognizable. Perfect. The sound drills into my skull. I jerk back, almost dropping the bolter. The wall quivers faintly as if amused. Another voice rises from a torso further down the hall, then another, until the space fills with a whispering psalm, fragments of vows and praises twisted out of rhythm. It's not a chant, but an echo of one, broken and endless. My heart's pound offbeat again. The bolter shakes in my hands. These are my brothers, their perfection turned inside out, their oaths inverted into sustenance for the ship. I force my way deeper. The floor pulses beneath my boots, each step an act of trespass. My visor fogs with my own breath. I lift it, and the air stings my lungs with sweetness and rot. The whispers brush my ears like silk, intimate, promising relief. One face, half submerged, eyes sealed, wears the markings of a sergeant I once followed into battle. His mouth moves silently, but in my mind I hear his voice calling cadence, the same rhythm the ship now breathes. I want to kneel, to press my forehead to the living deck and let it take me. Instead, I mutter the catechism of purity. The words feel brittle and dry, but I force them out. I am not instrument, but blade. I am not vessel, but will. The psalm around me shifts, harmonizing with the catechism, turning it into a verse within their hymn. The sound is beautiful, horrifying. Tears sting my eyes though they are dry. A sudden motion. One of the embedded figures jerks, arms snapping free of the tissue. Fingers like bone claws grasp at me, not in attack, but in supplication. Brother, it rasps in a voice that is my own and not my own. Sing with us. The plea is so raw it breaks something in me. For an instant I imagine dropping the bolter, taking its hand, feeling the ship close over me like water. No more struggle, no more emptiness, only belonging. I wrench back, bolter rising. The figure's eyes flare with a dim violet light. You were always the song. It whispers, the same words I heard in the pulpit above. My trigger finger tightens. A single round shatters the moment, exploding the figure into tissue and ceramite shards. The psalm stutters, then resumes as if nothing happened, absorbing the shot into its rhythm. The smell of burned flesh and oil fills the air. I back away, heartbeats ragged. My hands shake. The bolter feels heavier than ever, like a relic of a forgotten god. The whispers shift again, now soft, almost tender. They do not threaten, they wait. I realize with a cold shudder that the ship no longer needs to lure me. It only needs to exhaust me until surrender feels like choice. I push forward, stepping over coils of cable that pulse like intestines. The hull curves downward, the embedded figures thinning out, their whispers fading into a low hum. The air cools slightly, carrying a faint blue glow from ahead. My breath steadies but leaves an ache in my chest, as if something has been removed. I glance back once. The faces in the wall stare sightlessly, lips still moving. One by one they fall silent as I leave, like candles snuffed out. The corridor ahead tightens into a tunnel of smooth metal veined with faint light. My boots ring on solid decking again. The whispering psalm fades entirely, leaving only the ship's pulse in my ears. For a heartbeat the silence feels worse than the voices. I realize how much of me had already begun to lean into them. How empty resistance feels when the chorus recedes. I stop, leaning against the cold wall, bolter dangling. My reflection stares back from a polished conduit. Helm off. Face pale, eyes shadowed, lips moving without sound. I can't tell if I am praying or rehearsing the ship's psalm. Perhaps there is no difference anymore. I bite my lip until blood beads, a sharp iron taste that feels real, my own. The pulse under the deck continues, patient as ever. Ahead the blue glow brightens. The tunnel opens into another chamber, but I cannot yet see its contents. The hum deepens, a new note joining the pulse like the intake of breath before song. I force my legs to move, one step, then another. The bolter's weight steadies me, though it feels like carrying a memory rather than a weapon. As I reach the threshold, I look back once more. The hall of echoing flesh is still, its psalms silent now. The faces stare blankly, waiting. I turn away before the urge to answer rises again. The chamber beyond breathes a cool wind that tastes of iron and incense. I step through, the door sealing behind me with a sigh like a closing throat. The blue glow resolves into a circular vault. Its walls are smooth, a mirror of polished black metal veined with thin arteries of light. The air is cool, almost cold, and for the first time in what feels like days the smell of incense recedes, replaced by ozone and something like rain on stone. My boots ring clearly on the deck as I step inside, the sound pure and alone. At the center rises a pedestal of fractured marble bound in brass bands. Suspended above it, a shard of mirror hovers, spinning slowly, edge catching the light like a blade. The shard emits a faint hum, higher than the ship's pulse, like the first note of a song waiting to be sung. Around the vault's circumference, 9 arches open into darkness. Each arch is carved with runes from campaigns I fought long ago. Istvan, Chemos, Ulanor. They form a circle of memory, a theater of my own past. I move closer to the pedestal. The mirror shard tilts toward me as if sensing my approach. Its surface ripples, and for a moment I see only my own reflection. Pale, eyes ringed with shadows, bolter slung like a relic across my chest. Then the image changes. A younger version of me stands there, armor brilliant purple and gold, eyes alight with conviction. He raises a hand in salute, the same salute we offered the Emperor on the day of our ascension. His lips move, but no sound emerges. A pulse behind my eyes. The hum becomes words, not through my ears, but within my skull. Remember your oath. The voice is mine, but pure, unsullied. You swore to be perfect. You swore to be his instrument. I am, I whisper. My own voice echoes, small. I have not broken. The reflection smiles, but it is a grim smile. You have walked the corridors of flesh. You have breathed the ship's breath. Already you sing with it. What is left of the blade you claim to be? I clench my gauntlets. The cold of the vault steadies me. I resist. Resistance is participation, the voice murmurs. Every step deeper shapes you to its pattern. You know this. You feel it. Why pretend? I look down at my hands. The fingertips of my gauntlets tremble. Beneath the armor my skin itches, a phantom sensation as if something has traced runes upon it in invisible ink. I still carry his name. I say. The reflection leans closer within the mirror shard, eyes bright. Do you? Or do you carry only the rhythm of this ship, the pulse that has replaced your prayers? It raises a bolter, the same as mine, but when the weapon catches the light its barrel is a mouth, singing. I stagger back, bolter rising instinctively. The mirror hums louder, vibrating the air. The arches around the vault flicker with images, battlefields, the faces of my brothers before the fall, the Emperor's distant gaze. Each image cracks like glass, leaking violet light. The voice continues, a hymn now. Perfection was never his gift. It was ours to claim, ours to refine, ours to become. No, I snarl, stepping forward again. My breath fogs in the cold air. Perfection without him is corruption. The mirror shard spins faster, the reflection blurring. Then show me. Fire. Shatter me. Prove you are not already part of the song. My finger tightens on the trigger. For a moment, I imagine the shot. The shard exploding, the voice silenced. But another image rises behind my eyes. The hall of flesh, the faces of my brothers whispering perfect. The memory is no longer horror, but longing. If I shatter the shard, will the longing vanish or deepen? The doubt freezes me. The voice softens. You are tired. Lay down the blade. You are already within the communion. All that remains is to stop pretending. I lower the bolter slightly, not in surrender, but in confusion. What are you? I demand. A demon? A memory? The ship. I am what you wanted to be, the voice replies. The echo of the oath without the burden of obedience. The perfection you sought, free of his chains. Touch me, and you will know it. The mirror shard slows, hovering an arm's length away. Its surface is now liquid, silver shot through with violet veins. My own face gazes back, not young but ageless, eyes filled with stars. A warmth radiates from it, not the cloying sweetness of the ship, but something colder, clearer, like the stillness at the heart of a storm. For an instant I want to reach out, to feel that stillness, to let it replace the tremor in my hands. I extend one gauntlet, fingers inches from the surface. The hum lowers to a heartbeat. The arches around me darken, images fading. My breath slows, aligning with the pulse. In that moment, I see how easy it would be. One touch, one acceptance, and the struggle ends. Then another memory flares. The Emperor's hand raised not in blessing, but in command, his voice distant, but absolute. Stand. Endure. The memory cuts through the hum like a blade. I draw back my hand. The mirror shivers, a ripple of violet anger. Cracks spider across its surface. No. I whisper, though my voice trembles. Not yet. The mirror pulses once, then explodes into a rain of silent shards. They hang in the air for a heartbeat before dissolving into dust. The hum ceases. The vault is still. I stand alone before the empty pedestal, bolter heavy in my hands. The arches are dark now, only the faint veins of light tracing their curves. My heart's race, but beneath the panic a strange clarity rises. Not triumph, but the knowledge that something inside me has cracked as well. I resisted, but I also reached. I wanted to touch it. That one is mine now, permanent. A door I had not seen before slides open at the far side of the vault. Beyond it stretches a stairway spiraling downward, lit by a faint gold glow. The air drifting up carries both incense and cold stone, like the mingling of shrine and tomb. I sling the bolter and step toward it. Each step feels heavier, but also inevitable. At the threshold I pause, looking back once. The pedestal stands empty, dust settling around it like ash. My reflection is gone from the walls. Only my own shadow stretches across the floor, long and distorted. I whisper the Emperor's name once more, a thin thread of sound. Then I descend, the stairs swallowing me into the glow. The stair winds down until my calves burn beneath the ceramite greaves. The gold glow brightens, but does not warm. When I emerge, the air has changed again, drier, metallic, like the inside of a cogitator tower. The incense sweetness lingers at the edges, but here it smells scorched, as if something had been burned out. I stand in a hall so long my visor cannot find its end. Rows of command thrones rise on either side, their armrests thick with control threads and interface ports. Cogitator pits yawn below, empty and dark. The thrones are vacant, their restraints undone, cables coiled like sleeping serpents. Above, the ceiling curves into a high vault where faint gold light filters down in ribs. Dust drifts through it like ash. The ship's pulse is distant here, muffled, like a heartbeat through stone. I walk between the rows, boots clanging on iron grates. Each throne I pass feels like a relic of command. Places where mortals once gave orders, coordinated barges, spoke litanies to the machine spirit. Now they sit hollow. Yet as I draw nearer, I sense a residue, an echo of voices, a murmur of discipline, the old rhythm of command. It resonates faintly with the pulse inside me. One throne stands out. Its back is higher, its brass inlays still polished. A faint shimmer glows across its control threads, like breath across glass. Without thinking, I mount the steps and stand before it. The armrests are carved with laurels and winged thunderbolts, symbols of victory long obsolete. The seat looks almost inviting. For a heartbeat, I imagine myself sitting there, issuing orders not as a weapon, but as a master. The thought sends a shiver of pleasure and shame through me. I grip the armrest instead. It is cold, but hums faintly beneath the surface, a vibration I feel in my bones. A whisper blooms in my skull, not a voice, but an impression, command. It is not an offer, not yet. It is a memory of what I was trained to be, leader of the Phoenix Guard, voice of the Primarch as well. Authority is a shape carved into my mind, a habit like breathing. The ship knows it. I withdraw my hand, but the hum lingers in my bones. My heart's beat faster, not with fear, but with a hunger I did not expect. In the hall of flesh I long to belong. Here I long to rule. Two sides of the same lure, both leading inward. I kneel beside the throne, head bowed, forcing my breath slow. I am not master, I whisper. I am servant of his will. The words sound hollow in the vast chamber. The ship answers with silence. The gold light dims slightly, the dust drifting slower as if time itself thickened. My reflection in the brass armrest shifts. For an instant I see myself enthroned, eyes alight with violet fire, control threads snaking into my armor. The image is gone as soon as I blink, but its aftertaste remains. I rise and step down from the dais, forcing myself to move. Each row of thrones I pass seems to lean closer, their cables twitching faintly. Perhaps it is only air currents, but I feel watched. The echo of command murmurs at the edge of hearing, like a legion drilling just out of sight. My stride falters. My boots match the rhythm of the phantom cadence. I bite my lip again, tasting iron. Halfway down the hall, a flicker of movement. One throne at the far end is not empty. A figure sits there, head bowed, hands clasped on the armrests. Its armor is scorched purple, gold trim blackened. Tubes run from its spine into the throne. For a moment I think it is dead, a husk left as warning. Then its head lifts slightly. Clouded eyes meet mine. Brother, it croaks. The voice is faint, but carries. Sit. Let us. I approach slowly, bolter raised but not aimed. The figure's face is pale, lips cracked. Where the tubes enter its back, the flesh has grown over them like scars. It does not move except to breathe, shallow and wheezing. Lead, it repeats. We wait. I stop at the foot of the dais. What are you? My voice echoes up into the vault. Crew? Legion. It smiles faintly, teeth gray. Memory, it says. Echo. Throne waits for echo. Its fingers tighten on the armrests. We built a ship for perfect war. Now it builds us. Sit. The urge rises again, stronger now. My knees tremble. How simple it would be. Ascend the dais. Let the cables bite, speak, and be obeyed. Not dissolved into the ship, but enthroned within it. The temptation feels cleaner than belonging, almost noble. My hands twitch toward the bolter, not to fire, but to cast it aside. I force my eyes closed. In darkness, the Emperor's voice is a memory of thunder. Stand. Endure. I whisper it aloud. Stand. Endure. When I open my eyes, the figure has slumped forward, tubes hissing. Its eyes close, its breath stops. The throne's glow fades. Dust falls through the golden ribs above like slow rain. The cadence of phantom boots ceases. I climb the dais anyway. The seat is cold now, inert. I place one gauntlet on the armrest, half expecting the hum to return. Nothing. Only my own pulse, ragged but mine. I step back, bolter heavy in my grasp. At the far end of the hall, a door stands open, massive, carved with the winged sigil of the Imperium, but overgrown with fine cracks. Beyond it flickers a deeper violet light. The air drifting through carries both incense and the salt of blood. I take one last look at the empty thrones, their cables coiled like serpents, then turn toward the door. As I cross the threshold, the gold glow behind me fades, swallowed by violet. The ship's pulse grows louder again, matching my footsteps. Authority, belonging, dissolution, all of it waiting ahead. My grip tightens on the bolter. My whisper to the Emperor is almost silent now, but I force it out anyway, a brittle thread. I am still Blade. Then the door closes behind me with a sigh like 1,000 voices exhaling. The violet glow deepens into shadow, a bruise of light spreading across the walls. The air is hotter here, sticky, and it clings to my throat like resin. My helm's filters wheeze as if straining against a thickness that is not quite smoke. I push forward, bolter close, each breath measured. The deck vibrates faintly beneath my boots, no longer a steady pulse, but something slower, like a dirge played beneath the skin. The corridor widens until I step into a vast cavernous chamber. My breath catches. Towering pipes stretch from floor to ceiling, hundreds of them, some thicker than a man, others needle-thin. They are metal, but their surfaces ripple with flesh-like seams, and from their mouths cables hang like tongues. The pipes are arranged in semicircles, rising tier by tier like the seats of an amphitheater. At their bases, bodies hang, fused into the structure. Servitors once, their faces stretched into rictus silence, their throats connected by tubes into the pipes. Dozens. Hundreds. A choir of the dead, made permanent. The air trembles with a sound too low to be heard, only felt. My armor plates vibrate softly, rattling like teeth. I take a step forward, and the vibration shifts, resonating in my bones, in my teeth, in the twin hearts that pound unevenly. It is not song but the absence of it, an anti-hymn. The silence between notes given form. I whisper instinctively, "Emperor preserve." The words are swallowed, reshaped. My voice returns to me as a hollow echo, stretched into harmony, as though the silence itself answered. I stumble, hands tightening on the bolter. My prayers are not prayers here. They are fuel. I force my eyes to the faces along the pipes. Their mouths are open, but no sound comes. Their eyes are either stitched shut or rolled white. Yet I swear I see them move, lips forming words that only the silence can hear. Their stillness is worse than screams. My stomach clenches, though I no longer know if it is revulsion or longing. I remember singing once. On Chemos, before the long war, we sang hymns to the Emperor as our father's hand rested on our shoulders. The memory is faint now, distant as starlight, but it returns here like a knife. The pride of voices in unison, the swell of belonging. The silence mocks it, erases it, and yet, I ache to join it, to dissolve into it. No struggle, no discord, no failure, only absence. I drop to my knees. The deck is warm and damp. My gauntlets leave imprints in it like clay. I bow my head, breath fogging the ground. For a moment I stop resisting. I let the resonance move through me, hollow me. My heart slow, synchronizing with the inaudible dirge. My lips part, though no words emerge. I am becoming part of the choir. Then something strikes. The memory of my bolter firing in the hall of flesh. The brief scream of a brother silenced into tissue. The crack of defiance. Discord. My eyes snap open. I clutch the bolter, press its stock against my chest. The silence recoils faintly, the resonance shifting as if in irritation. The pipes shudder. Dust drifts from above. I rise, unsteady but upright. I am not silence, I whisper. The echo stretches the words again, reshaping them into something hollow. Still, they are mine. I am not silence. The pipes tremble louder, their resonance deepening. One of the servitor faces cracks, lips splitting into a grotesque parody of a smile. Its throat bulges as though about to sing. A faint wheeze escapes, not voice but breath stolen from me. My skin crawls. I raise the bolter. For a moment, I consider firing into the pipes, shattering the silence into ruin. But the chamber waits. It is patient, like every other lure. It does not need to attack. It knows my longing. It knows I want to belong, to be still, to stop resisting. That knowledge is heavier than the bolter itself. I lower the weapon slowly, not in surrender but in fear of my own hesitation. My hands shake. The silence seems to thicken around me, pressing against my armor like water. The pipes loom higher, endless. My breathing grows shallow. I cannot tell if I am moving forward or if the hall itself draws me deeper. Finally, the semicircle breaks. A passage opens between the pipes, narrow, violet-lit. The silence recedes slightly, like a tide pulling back. I stagger toward it, boots heavy. Behind me, the choir remains unmoving, yet I feel its attention. At the threshold, I turn once more. The faces along the pipes are motionless again, lips still parted. The resonance hums low, promising, patient. My throat aches with the effort not to answer. I bite down hard until the taste of blood fills my mouth. Iron. Real. Mine. The silence presses, waiting for me to surrender it. I turn away before it can. The passage beyond is darker, lined with veins of faint light that pulse irregularly. The air cools again, almost refreshing after the suffocating chamber. My breaths come ragged, but they are mine. My lips twitch as if to form words, but I keep them closed. Better silence by choice than silence imposed. The corridor curves downward, a spiral like the stair before, but narrower. My bolter feels heavier than ever, a relic of discord. My steps echo softly, a rhythm against the ship's pulse. For now, it is enough. For now, I still walk. The spiral ends in a slow unfurling of light. For a heartbeat, I think I have emerged into daylight. But it is only a chamber lit by gold fire from hundreds of candles burning without smoke. The air is cool, dry, faintly spiced, like a chapel sealed for centuries. The walls are lined with niches, each holding a relic, a pauldron, a tattered banner, a bolter with its magazine removed. Purple and gold gleam dimly under a film of dust. I take one step inside. The deck here is solid again, marble veined with brass, cold beneath my boots. The pulse of the ship is faint, distant, as if respectful. It smells of old oil, incense long burned out, and faintly of parchment. My heart's slow. For the first time since entering the depths, I feel something like calm, though it is fragile. The relics are arranged with care, as though by a cult curator. I recognize many of them. There is the torn cape of a captain I once served under, its edges stiff with blood. There is the standard of our company, the phoenix in flight. I brush a gauntlet across it. The cloth crumbles slightly, but the sigil remains, golden threads glinting. My breath catches. These are not trophies. They are memories. In the center of the chamber stands an altar of black stone, polished until it reflects the candlelight. Upon it rests a helm, the helm I wore at Istvin before the betrayal. The crest is still intact, though dulled. Beside it lies a nameplate etched in high Gothic. My own name. Seeing it written there, detached from me, feels like looking at a stranger. I reach out. The helm is cold, heavier than I remember. When I lift it, the candles flicker, as if in a breeze. A whisper stirs at the edge of hearing, not the ship this time, but my own memory, my voice shouting orders, reciting litanies, laughing with my brothers before a battle. The sound is so vivid it stabs like pain. My knees tremble. I set the helm back down. My gauntlets leave prints in the dust. What is this place? I murmur. My voice echoes softly between the candles. A tomb? A shrine? No answer. Only the faint pulse of the ship beyond the walls, like a heartbeat muffled by stone. I walk along the niches, tracing the artifacts. Each one stirs another memory. A duel in the training cages, the heat of Chemo's sun on polished armor, the taste of ash after our first orbital bombardment. With each memory, a tremor runs through me, equal parts grief and pride. They feel like anchors. They also feel like chains. At the far wall hangs a mirror. Not a shard this time, but a full-length panel framed in brass. Its surface is dusty but intact. I wipe it with a gauntlet. My reflection stares back, armor scarred, eyes hollow, bolter clutched like a reliquary. Behind me, the candles shimmer. For a moment, my reflection straightens, shoulders squared, crest bright. The phoenix sigil on my chest plate glows faintly as it once did. It looks like a warrior of the Emperor's children before the fall. Is this still me? I whisper. Or only what I want to remember? The reflection's lips move, but no sound emerges. Yet I know the words. Perfection. The same lure, dressed now in memory instead of corruption. My stomach twists. Even my past can be weaponized. I turn from the mirror, bolter rising as if to shatter it. The candle flames lean inward slightly, their light dimming. My finger hovers on the trigger. The urge to destroy is almost as strong as the urge to kneel. Either would be surrender. Instead, I lower the weapon. I draw a slow breath of the cool, spiced air. I am not your relic. I say aloud, voice steadier. I am not your lure. The pulse of the ship flickers faintly, a tremor through the deck. The candles flare once, then steady. My reflection in the mirror fades back into the scarred warrior I am. The phoenix sigil dulls. Silence returns. At the altar, the helm and nameplate still wait. I approach, remove one gauntlet, and touch the etched name with my bare fingers. The stone is cold. My name feels alien on my tongue, but I speak it anyway, a quiet affirmation. It does not echo. It does not change. It simply is. Something shifts within me, not triumph, but a clearing, as if a layer of dust has been blown away. I am still trapped in the ship, still prey to its lures, but here, for a heartbeat, I hold something of myself unsullied. It is small, fragile, but mine. I replace the gauntlet, sling the bolter, and turn from the altar. Behind it a door has opened, silent and seamless, revealing a passage lit by pale light. The air drifting through smells of cold metal and rain again. I glance back once more at the relics, the phoenix standard, the helm, the candles, and bow my head briefly. Not in worship, in remembrance. Then I step through the door. The marble gives way to metal, the candles to darkness. The ship's pulse returns, louder now, as though aware of my brief defiance. My heart's race, but my steps are steady. The passage slopes downward again, into deeper shadow. As it curves away, I whisper not a prayer but a statement, a thread of sound in the dim. I walk still. The words do not echo. They do not need to. I know them. The passage narrows until it is nothing but a spiral shaft lit by a cold, shifting glow. The deck under my boots tilts and straightens with each step, as though gravity itself were confused. My armor's gyros whine to correct, but even they struggle. The air tastes of iron rain and burnt copper. Each breath feels like inhaling a storm. As I descend, the glow flickers between gold and violet. Shadows stretch and fold, shapes forming at the edge of vision. Wings, claws, laurels, chains. My bolter feels lighter now, not because I am stronger, but because something in me is loosening. The ship's pulse has become a slow, massive drumbeat, and my hearts respond without my consent. Time phrase. Steps lengthen, shorten. The spiral seems endless but also instantaneous, as though I have always been descending and only now notice. My mind drifts back to chemos, to the training cages, to the first time I heard Fulgrim speak of perfection. His voice overlays the pulse now, smooth and rich. Perfection is liberation, it whispers. Perfection is your right. Another voice rises beneath it, colder, distant, like thunder over a plain. The Emperor's will, wordless but heavy. Endure. The two presences twist around each other in my skull, not words but currents. My knees buckle under the weight of them. I grip the railing, gauntlets scraping sparks. The stair opens briefly into a landing, a windowless alcove where the walls are carved with bas-reliefs of angels and serpents intertwined. Some hold swords, others chalices. The carvings shift as I watch, wings becoming blades, chalices becoming mouths. My breath quickens. My reflection shimmers in the polished brass floor. One moment a warrior in purple and gold, the next a figure made of light and shadow with no face at all. I press on. The spiral tightens, the glow brightens. My thoughts blur. I feel the memories of the shrine chamber slipping, the helm and the nameplate already fading to dream. In their place rises a sense of inevitability, like a tide. I am being unmade, remade, not by force but by proximity. Halfway down, another vision seizes me. Fulgrim stands at the base of the stair, his armor radiant, his eyes twin stars. He reaches out a hand, palm up. Behind him rises not a ship but a palace of mirrors, endless reflections of my own face. "Brother," he says, not aloud but inside me. Step forward. Ascend. His voice is velvet, terrible in its beauty. At the same time the air around me hardens, gold light flaring. The Emperor's silhouette appears at the top of the stair I've descended, vast and distant, gaze unreadable. No hand extended, only presence. No promise, only command. Stand, the presence rumbles. Endure. I am between them, one hand reaching down, one presence looming above. My bolter hangs at my side like a forgotten tool. My heart's hammer. The spiral trembles as though the ship itself waits for my step. I realize with sudden clarity that there is no neutral ground. To go on is to choose. I close my eyes. The ship's pulse is a drum. Fulgrim's whisper is a thread of silk. The Emperor's command is iron. I think of the hall of flesh, of the silent choir, of the relics of my past. All of them lures, all of them mirrors, but also all of them parts of me. Resistance has not made me pure. It has only slowed the inevitable. The choice is not whether to be changed, but how. I open my eyes. The visions flicker. Fulgrim's hand still waits. The Emperor's shadow still towers. I do not step toward either. I plant my boots on the stair, gauntlets gripping the rail, and speak, not to them but to myself. I will not be perfect. I will not be pure. I will be mine. The glow stutters, the spiral shudders. The visions waver, their edges fraying. Fulgrim's smile falters into a mask of rage, then dissolves into violet mist. The Emperor's silhouette fades into gold dust. For a heartbeat, I am alone again, only the stare and the pulse. But the pulse has changed. It is no longer a drum, but a heartbeat echoing mine. The glow steadies into a pale white. Gravity evens out under my boots. My bolter feels real again, solid metal instead of memory. My name rises unbidden in my mind, and this time it does not feel foreign. I descend the last few steps. The stair ends at a circular hatch etched with both imperial sigils and twisting runes. Its surface is warm, humming faintly. This is the core, the ship's heart. Beyond it lies whatever the journey has been shaping me for. I stand before it, breath slow. My hands no longer tremble. The choice is not finished, but the moment of passive drifting is over. Whatever I do next will not be lure or reflex. It will be act. I lay a gauntlet on the hatch. It opens without sound, petals of metal withdrawing like a flower. A cool wind rushes out, smelling of rain and ash, a mingling of shrine and battlefield. Beyond is darkness streaked with thin lines of light, like veins in marble. I sling the bolter, step across the threshold, and let the hatch close behind me. The pulse fades to a low murmur, then silence. I walk forward into the dark, my footsteps the only sound, each one a statement. I am here. I am still walking. I am still mine. Darkness folds around me like a cloak. The deck is warm, almost soft, yet beneath my boots is the faint tremor of machinery, steady, like a great heart. Thin veins of light snake through the black, converging toward a shape at the center of the chamber. My breathing grows shallow. The air smells of rain on rust, and something sweeter, like incense burning on a funeral pyre. I approach slowly. The shape resolves into an engine unlike any I have ever seen. It rises from the floor like a pillar of bone wrapped in cables, its surface a mosaic of gold and violet plates. Between them pulse sacks of living tissue, beating faintly, pumping ichor through transparent veins. At its summit hangs a figure, or what remains of one, a wingless angel of flesh and metal, blindfolded, arms spread in a parody of crucifixion. Wires run from its throat into the engine, carrying silence. Its chest rises and falls slowly, impossibly alive. This is the heart of the ship. This is the chorus and the pulse and the lure. This is the untold tragedy of the Emperor's children made flesh, not victory, not even corruption, but permanence. A hymn without end. I stop a few paces away. My bolter hangs at my side, its weight almost nothing now. I cannot tell whether the thing before me is a weapon, a shrine, or a prison. Perhaps it is all three. A voice stirs, not aloud but in the marrow of my bones. It is not Fulgrim's, not the Emperor's. It is something older, quieter. We are all that remains. Images flood me. Chemos before the ash storms, the legion before the fall, the pride of the phoenix rising. Then Istvan, betrayal, screaming bolters. Then centuries of excess, echoes of music turned to static. The images collapse into silence, leaving only weight. My knees tremble. I drop to one, not in worship, but from the sheer gravity of memory. My gauntlets scrape the deck. Is this what we are? I whisper. A relic that cannot die? The voice does not answer, but the figure's chest rises and falls faster. Its blindfolded head tilts as if listening. The veins of light around us pulse brighter, matching my heartbeat. My mouth tastes of blood and copper. I feel as though the engine is drawing my memories out, feeding on them, weaving them into its silent hymn. I could fire the bolter. I could shatter the heart, break the cycle. For a heartbeat, the image thrills me. The ship tearing itself apart, the silent choir silenced forever, my body lost in the void but free. But the vision falters. Destruction is not freedom. It is only another end without meaning. I rise slowly. My armor creaks. No, I say aloud. My voice echoes faintly. Not destruction, not surrender. The engine hums, a low vibration. The figure shudders, its lips parting as if to speak. Nothing emerges but a breath of wind smelling of ash and incense. It is waiting. I step closer, gauntlets outstretched. The cables are warm, pulsing faintly. The surface of the engine is slick, alive. I press one hand against it. A surge of memory strikes me. Not visions this time, but sensations. The weight of a bolter, the cadence of a hymn, the taste of dust and triumph. All of it flows into me, not as lore, but as knowledge. The tragedy is not what we became. It is that we could not bear our own reflection. Tears sting my eyes. I whisper my name. This time it feels whole, heavy with every memory, but not crushed by them. I withdraw my hand. The figure's chest rises one last time, then stills. The veins of light dim. The hum softens to a murmur. For the first time since entering the ship, there is no pulse but my own. I turn from the engine. The chamber is vast and silent now, the blackness no longer oppressive but open. The tragedy of the Emperor's children is not erased. It cannot be, but it no longer owns me. I carry it instead, as a scar, as a story. At the far end of the chamber a door opens, revealing a narrow causeway leading to a launch bay. Pale light filters through, real light from a distant star. The air smells of ozone and void. My steps are steady as I walk toward it. Bolter slung, name unspoken but alive in my chest. Behind me the engine remains, neither destroyed nor triumphant, only silent. Ahead of me lies not redemption, but movement. I do not know where the causeway leads. That is enough. Each footfall is mine. Each breath is mine. As I reach the threshold, I look back once, at the heart of the ship, at the blindfolded figure, at the veins of light dimming into shadow. You are not forgotten, I say quietly. The words do not echo. They simply exist. Then I step through the door. The hatch seals behind me with a sound like a final exhale. Stars will beyond the bay. I walk forward, feeling the weight of my armor, the rhythm of my hearts, the whisper of memory. I am still walking. I am still mine. And somewhere, far behind, the silent hymn ends.